Speak No Evil was directed by James Watkins and it stars James McAvoy, Mackenzie Davis, and Scoot McNairy. And it's about this couple that are on vacation with their daughter, and they wind up meeting James McAvoy and his wife and their son, and they begin bonding while on their vacation, and they invite this other couple to visit them at their farm. But a lot of things are going south really fast. The couple is creepy, and there's some very suspicious activity going on there. So this is a movie that wasn't really on my radar until I saw the first trailer, which I thought was pretty creepy, especially considering James McAvoy is actually really good at playing these really creepy characters, as evidenced by Split. So I was definitely looking forward to this movie in some way. I didn't know that it was a remake until sometime after finding out about it. So I did check that movie out, and it was pretty creepy as well. So I'm kind of curious how this movie was going to do as well compared to the original. And for the most part, I was actually satisfied with this movie. I thought it was pretty creepy. The performances were solid. There are some things I kind of am thinking about with this movie, and I would kind of recommend this movie. Well, there are definitely some things I don't like about it, but we'll talk about that. Let's start off with things I do like first. First off, the acting is pretty good. James McAvoy, especially, is really creepy in this movie. He is unsettling. Well, eventually it does become unsettling, but you do buy his character. Like, he seems normal at first, but like it grows to be this unhinged, insane person by the end of this movie, and he is fantastic at playing these really creepy characters. Mackenzie Davis and Scoot McNairy are also solid. You do believe them as a couple for the most part. There are some things I don't like about their characters, but I'll kind of dive into that a little bit. Also, Dan How I'm not sure how to pronounce his name, but he's the younger son in the movie. I thought he was really good in this movie too, despite the fact that his character actually doesn't speak throughout the entire movie. I thought he was pretty good. Also, I do like the tense atmosphere of this movie. This movie is pretty tense throughout the entire movie. Like, there are definitely some like small moments where you're kind of like wondering, it's like, oh, is this going to be like a breaking point? Is this going to be the moment where you're like, oh, okay, this is going a little too far here? It's like the atmosphere is very well done, and for the most part, I do think it works. And I do think the score is pretty interesting because it is not really used throughout the entire movie. I think it's very minimal throughout the entire movie. I don't think there's actually a score until about like, I want to say an hour into this movie at least, maybe even more so. I think that also really helps with this movie quite a bit. It doesn't actually tell you like what's scary. It's like you're rather supposed to feel it rather than you're supposed to feel it for the actions that are happening, not from like what the music is telling you to feel. I do think that is very effective. And also, I do think that the movie does change a lot from the original movie, which I won't spoil from the movie, but I feel like it doesn't really change the overall message of the original movie. I do think the changes do work for the most part. I won't say like where the changes are, but I do think it is very effective. And I do think some of the themes are very interesting in this movie. Like, where is the breaking point for people? When do you stand up for yourself? How far can things go before you realize this is enough? And I do think that the movie does have a few stupid characters in it, like a few stupid moments in this movie. But I'm not really bothered by that in this movie because I don't see it as them being stupid. I just see them as being cowards more than anything. I do think that is more effective than saying, oh, they're just blatantly stupid. And I think the movie it doesn't cross the line. It's like, it walks that fine line between doing something really stupid, but then they're also just kind of cowards throughout the entire movie. And I feel like it kind of makes sense when they do dumb things. But let's talk about the issues with this movie. There are some pacing issues in this movie. The first movie is only about 90 minutes long. This movie is 110 minutes long, so there's definitely some changes in this movie. And I feel like this movie has several pacing issues, particularly in that last act where I kind of just want things to wrap up, and it's like, no, they kind of have to keep dragging this out and dragging this out and dragging this out. It's like, I kind of want to wrap it up a bit. This is taking forever. And also, there are definitely some similarities to the original where, it does a lot of these things where it's like, okay, let's just do what we did from the original movie. And it can be kind of annoying when you just hear them do the things from the original movie again. But then again, I feel like most people haven't seen the original movie, so I don't think that's going to be a problem for a lot of people. What I do think will be a problem for people is, again, the dumb decisions that are made. There are so many dumb decisions in this movie. So much so that I honestly almost would give it a stream it, but at the same time, I'm kind of looking at them as them being cowards rather than them being stupid. But particularly Scoot McNairy's character. Now, don't get me wrong, Scoot McNairy is really good in this movie. His character is awful. He is awful. Like, at least with James McAvoy's character, we can understand his character is awful and we're supposed to feel bad for him. But like Scoot McNairy's character, I felt like he was just horrible. He was horrible to his family. He was horrible in pretty much every situation. And I'm like, dude, come on. Come on. And I feel like the movie was trying to do that a little bit, where it kind of shows like, either you can, change your ways early on, or if you're going to be stuck in this way forever. I do think the movie does an interesting job at that. And again, I feel like his character in particular, he's going to be the most divisive character. I feel like, not necessarily divisive, I feel like he's going to be the most hated character in this entire movie. Yes, even more so than the murderous people in this movie. So, Speak No Evil, I thought it was mostly solid. I had a pretty good time watching it. The acting is phenomenal. The tense atmosphere is very well done. The changes are nice, but they stay in line with the original movie. I do think the score is very interesting. It doesn't really use a score a whole lot. And I do think the themes of this movie do work overall and actually help the story overall. But again, there are some dumb characters. There's very dumb decisions in this movie. Again, not necessarily because they're dumb, but because they're cowards. Scoot McNairy's character is not particularly great. There are some pacing issues. And again, some similarities to the original are there, and it kind of distracts from the movie a bit. But I feel like that's not going to be a problem for most people because I feel like most people have not seen the original. So I'll give this version of Speak No Evil 3 out of 4 stars. See it. So, what's your favorite James McAvoy performance? Comment down below, subscribe to the channel. This is Pat. Stay safe.